calling out whether you need to lift your arm more or drop it a little or accelerate your tempo or be more gentle. So all these instructions get given orally by the guru, so the response of the pupil is auditory. Then there is the visual response, where a teacher would demonstrate and somebody would copy. So please, can you all try a visual response for me? Please do this. Okay. And now I'm going to ask you to put down the finger which represents water, to put down the finger which represents earth, the finger which represents the sky, the finger which represents Vayu, and the finger which represents, I've forgotten the first
space.
one. No, the sky. Sky was the space. So it's Jala, fire, Agni. Agni is the first one. So when I give you an instruction like this, then it is a verbal instruction that then connects with your sense of logic, because then you're following me sequentially. It's also visual, but it's not as visual as the first one when I said hold your hand. So this is another method of learning. Then in dance, generally people learn a lot in groups. So that is interpersonal, and then you have to, between one move and the next or a sequence and the next, in order to get on top of it, you really have to process it from within. So that is intrapersonal. It's inverted in terms of your own thoughts. And so that's solitary learning. And there is the other one, which is kinesthetic or physical learning. So if I'm dropping my arms all the time, a teacher will come and do this to me. And from that physical memory, I'll know where I have to be in terms of the relationship of my arm to my body. That kind of learning is from physical experience, physical memory, that is kinesthetic. So dance uses all these techniques. I'm sure music uses quite a few of them. But these are very important in the development stages of a young child. And I've heard my mother say, I don't know what they say now about dyslexia, what they say about attention disorder. These things were not there in my time. This is my mother's favorite dialogue. But what dance science specialists abroad have found is that the application of dance to children with other ways of learning, or some, you may say, some learning disorders or with learning difficulties, what happens is that the different parts of the brain come together with the movement and facilitate a lot of things for the child. And to bring me back to the connection between the West and the East, one of the most, a branch of study has been developed called brain gym, which prescribes many activities for somebody when before they do movement. So it's a pre-movement stage in which their concentration will improve, different things will improve. Amongst one of the things taught is to hold your hands, hold your ears, get your arms across, and go down all the way and come up. And if you do that for a few minutes every morning before you start the rest of your activity, exactly like our Topikarnam, but this was found by some educationists in the US, who obviously publicized it first. The impact on the human mind in terms of the information from this side of the brain going to the other. Now, I'm not a scientist, as you can see, which is why I'm describing it in these terms, but I'm a passionate dance teacher. So these exercises do open up different ways of working the body, different ways of working all the things you need in order to learn better. So while we have kinesiology abroad, we do have, of course, yoga in India, and in fact now yoga has been taken over much more by all centers. For instance, I'm attached to a general practitioner in London, and in their surgery, as prevention, they've put on a yoga class for 3 afternoons in the week, which is free to all patients or potential patients, and the National Health Service pays for that. So we don't pay. And the consciousness of yoga being a great tool in well-being, a way of life that really contributes to well-being, is one thing. Yoga, in the way it's different from dance, is that it helps you with your internal focus. It helps you with a lot of other things in terms of knowing your body. It doesn't exhilarate you in the same way that dance does. So dance actually has been proven to provide the practitioner with a lot of happy hormones. Yes, it reduces the cortisol produced by the body. So it's definitely anti-stress, dance activity. And more recent discoveries are finding out that there is the application of dance for people with dementia, Alzheimer's. It teaches them different ways to understand things. So that science is still advancing. So with dance, it's not just the theatrical side. There is also the side where dance pedagogy is very important. Teachers generally in the West are trained to go on updating their skills each year. So if you don't update your skills, you're not a member of an organization or two where you know what the new developments are and then you become aware and then you pursue courses. Health and safety is again a very important part of dance training and dance practice in the West. Now Indian teachers refer a lot to Shastric texts, as indeed I did when I started to lay the basis for this talk. With the Indian tradition, what is special is that the individual is really encouraged to come out much more as a creative being, even while learning the art form. So in the practice of our tradition in India, what really comes out is the person's own connection with the art form is one thing, but apart from knowing the moves, practicing and enhancing your skills, getting better at it, you also learn to communicate and to feel, to emote. My guru, Sri Dhananjay, if anybody has heard him, he hates the word dance if it's applied to Indian forms. He always says, oh, you must say Natya, you must say Natya. And the reason for this is that the Natya element gives a lot of importance to the emotion behind the dance. And the purpose of Indian performing arts is to give the viewer a rasa experience. So you communicate something and that creates, it evokes another sentiment in the person who's watching. And that is one of the most important features of the Indian performing arts tradition. Having said that, I think the benefits, I hope, I have been able to share some of those with you. And I would like to finish with, I was going to tell you that one of the, many of you may know this, in the European Center for Research in Particle Physics in Geneva, they said, hundreds of years ago, Indian artists created visual images of dancing Shivas in a beautiful series of bronzes. In our time, physicists have used the most advanced technology to portray the patterns of the cosmic dance. The metaphor of the cosmic dance thus unifies ancient mythology, religious art, and modern physics. So, in terms of where we are placed, whether we are still following the Shastras or whether we are advancing in our tradition with the Prayogas, Natya was considered to be another yoga. So it drew from the Rig Veda the words, Yajurveda, the emotions or the abhinaya, from Samaveda the music, and from Atharva Veda the rasa. So the bringing together of all this makes Natya really communicate expression apart from just being dance. And one of the things that Jiddu Krishnamurti had said, you must understand the whole of life, not just one little part. That is why you must read, look at the skies, sing and dance, write poems and suffer and understand, for all that is life. Having said that, I mean, suffering, I suppose, is part of life anyway. A quote from the West, on with the dance, let joy be unconfined. Thank you.
You had referred to the topical one. Yes. So that's that anyone can do it, and it has been proven to be beneficial.
Proven to be extremely beneficial in terms of the mind opening up and the brain being really alert. So all the good things of brain gym, where they are able to open up different centers that the whole